Hey friends, welcome back to another exciting sew along. Strap in because today we are going to be sewing up the Cherishing Today companion backpack, and y'all, this is probably the most intense bag I've sewn and the longest YouTube tutorial I have, so hang in there and let's get started. This backpack is really great because you can use waterproof canvas, regular canvas, vinyl, really anything. I'm going to be using it all, so I'm super excited to sew this up with you. Okay, so let's get right into the pieces you need to cut. There are quite a few, so hang in there with me because I get a little confused because I ended up using the same fabric for my exterior as I did for my lining, which was a terrible idea for a video, but it's super cute in the end, so it's worth it. Alright, so I'm going to be making the flap version of this bag. So the pieces, if you're making it with me, you are going to need a main A piece in your lining. I am using interfacing just because I want to give my bag some extra like oomph. But if you're using canvas, waterproof canvas, vinyl, you don't need it. Like I said, I'm just using it because I want my bag to be nice and sturdy. Alright, you are also going to need two exterior B pieces. And then you're going to need a C1 piece in your exterior and a C2 piece in your exterior and one in your interior lining piece. You're going to need an E for your cut in your lining. You're also going to need two Ds in lining. You are also going to need if you're doing the flat version, you're going to need an E piece in your lining. This is going to show on the exterior of your bag, but you do want to cut it in your lining piece. You can do it in like the accent piece if you'd rather, but totally up to you. All right, and then you're going to need an F in your lining. This is your back slip pocket. You will need two G's in exterior and two G's in lining. So my exterior, I'm doing an accent color for my sides, and then I am doing this castle for my interior. So again, 2G exterior, 2G interiors. You will need 2 H exteriors and 2 H interiors, and these are going to be your pockets. So I just did it all in my main fabric because I was like, oh, that'll be cute, and I had enough. For your flap, you are going to need one exterior and one lining. Make sure you put your magnetic snap placements on the wrong side of your lining piece. And then you are going to need 4 Ks, which are your zipper pockets. So you need 4 of those in your lining, and that's all for your fabric right now. Okay, now that we have all our fabric cut and ready to go, let's talk about the hardware that we need for our companion backpack. First, you are going to need a 14.5 piece of zipper tape, and you are going to want 2 zipper pulls for this because it is going to open up either way, which is really nice when you need to get really deep into it. Alright, next we are going to need 2 9.5-inch zipper tapes with zipper pulls. These are going to be for your zipper pockets, so make sure you've got those. You don't have to have the zipper pull on it already, I just had one on there. Okay, so next we're going to get to your connecting hardware. You will need 2 strap sliders. You're going to need 1-inch hardware. You'll need 2 strap sliders, and then the pattern calls for rectangle rings. I only had D rings. It totally works. Whatever you have on hand, use. But you are going to want 1-inch rectangle or D rings. And then there's an optional like crossbody strap that you can do. If you do that, you are going to want 2 additional D or rectangle rings. Alright, and then you're going to want 2 magnetic closures. These will go, if you're doing the flap, these will go on your flap. So make sure you have 2 magnetic closures. And then let's get into webbing. You can use any webbing you want. If you use anything other than 1-inch webbing, you're going to want to use different hardware to go with it. But you will need 2 40-inch straps, 2 4-inch pieces for your strap tabs, and then a 9-inch piece of webbing for your handle. Again, I'm using 1-inch because I have 1-inch hardware. If you're using bigger webbing, wider webbing, make sure you change your hardware to go with that. So here's all our pieces. Let's get ready to sew. Alright, since interfacing isn't required for this pattern, but I chose to use it, I just went ahead and interfaced my pieces already. So if you're wanting to interface, don't forget to do that now. But we are going to just put all of this aside and take out our webbing. We are going to prep our strap tab pieces. So go ahead and put all your fabric aside and I don't know what I'm explaining here. Something important, I'm sure. But grab out your webbing. Make sure you get your two 4-inch tab pieces and your D or rectangle rings. What we're going to do is we are going to take those tabs and slide them right through the D ring or rectangle ring if you're using that, and fold it in half. Then I'm just going to clip it to kind of keep it together there, making sure it's folded in half and the D ring's at the end of the fold there. So we're going to do that to both of these tab pieces. Just slip it right through and fold it in half and clip it. And then we are going to take these pieces over to the machine and we are going to baste the raw edges, so the ends of these, using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we're just going to baste them. It's going to make it so that they don't try and move or wiggle or anything when we are sewing them onto our bag. One quick thing that I want to mention here is that I am using a walking foot to sew this. I love doing walking foots with bags. It just helps move everything along really well. So yeah, just a little tip there. All right, so backpack tab straps are all set and prepped. Let's go ahead now and pull out our interior and exterior zipper pockets, and let's get those prepped and ready to go so that when it's time to add them, they are just all set. Zippers seem intimidating, but they really aren't. They're super easy. You've got this. You are going to want to make sure you have your zipper pulls attached to your zipper tape already. You don't have to, actually. I just did it because it was just another step that I wanted to get done, I guess. But you are going to take one of your pocket pieces, your K pocket lining pieces, and you are going to lay it right sides up. And then you are going to take your zipper tape and you are going to also lay that right sides up. So wrong side of your zipper tape will be to the right side of your pocket piece. And you are just going to pin or clip along those raw edges right there. And then we are going to baste the zipper to the zipper tape to the pattern piece using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Make sure that when you get to where your zipper pull is, if you've already attached it, that you just bring it to the other side of your needle. That way it doesn't bump your fabric or anything out of the way. All right, we've got one side of our zipper tape attached to a lining pocket piece. Let's go ahead and attach the other side. So we are going to take one of our other lining piece, lay it right sides up. Moving the other pocket piece out of the way, we're going to take the side of the zipper tape that we have not sewn and line it wrong side to right side of that lining piece, lining up those raw edges right there, making sure though that the sides, the whole pocket lines up. Because the zipper tape is a little bit wider than the zipper or the pocket bag piece, you just want to make sure that the pocket bags are aligned together. So pin or clip that, and then we are going to go ahead and baste that together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so we got one of our pocket bag pieces, our zipper pocket bags, all set to go, zipper attached. Let's go ahead now and do the same thing to the other set of our zipper pockets. Lay one of the zipper pockets right sides up, wrong side, put the wrong side of the zipper tape to the right side of the zipper pocket, and we are going to line up those raw edges and just baste right there using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, just like we did with our other zipper pocket piece, we are going to take the unsewn pocket piece, lay it right sides up, put the wrong side of the zipper tape to the right side of the pocket piece, line up those raw edges, pin or clip, and then we are going to baste along the raw edges using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, both of our zipper pocket bag pieces are prepped and ready to go. Let's now start our interior construction. So pull out your interior main lining A piece, and what we're going to do now is we are going to create a pocket or a zipper opening for our a zipper window for our zipper pocket piece. So grab your A piece, and then you are going to want an acrylic ruler, and you're going to want some double-sided tape and a heat erase pen or chalk or something to mark up your fabric with. So the first thing that we need to do though is we need to measure, we need to find the center point of this back, of this interior. So fold it in half and just make a little mark there so that you know where the center of your piece is. You can just fold it if you want to do that. I just wanted a little bit something extra. Now what we're going to do is we are going to measure 4 inches down from that top edge and just make a little mark on the center point. And then we are going to draw a line that is 6 inches long. So I just lined up my 3-inch mark there on the center line and then drew 3 inches on either side of the center line point there to make a 6-inch line for the zipper tape. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I have a nice crease there so I can see exactly where my center is. So go ahead and make a 6-inch line, 3 inches on either side of your center point. Okay, so now we have a line that is 4 inches down and 6 inches across. Now what we're going to do is on either end of that line, we are going to measure down and draw another little line that's 1/2 inch on both sides of that. And then we are going to go ahead and connect those at the bottom. So we just made a long skinny rectangle, or a wide skinny rectangle, whatever. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna find the halfway point of that rectangle, which is 1/4 inch. So first though, you are going to measure 1/2 inch on either end of that and make another line. That's gonna tell you where to draw your line. Now you're gonna measure 1/4 inch, find the halfway point, measure 1/4 inch, and draw a line in the middle of your box there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take the corner of our rectangle and we are going to bring it to the corner of the line that we drew that was 1/2 inch inside of our box. And we're going to do that on the top and the bottom, and it's going to create these little V's, which are going to help us get a nice turn of our pocket bag when we attach that. So go ahead on both sides, create those little V's by going from the corner of your rectangle into the corner of the 1/2 inch line that you drew there. Okay, now that our zipper window is all drawn in, I just wanted to zoom in so you could really see what it looks like and how we have some nice sharp V's there, because that's going to be really important here in the next step. Alright, next what we're going to do is we are going to cut on this line here to open up our pocket window, or a zipper window. So I like to use my ruler and my rotary cutter just to get a nice straight line there, and then I use my snips to get really close, because you want to get as close to that corner as you can without snipping past the corner. That's super important. So make sure you clip along the line, and then once you get to that 1/2 inch line where your triangle starts, you're going to snip on the lines of the triangle. Make sure not to go past that corner point though. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we are going to take some double-sided tape. If you don't have double-sided tape, glue or pins or clips work fine too, but I do like using double-sided tape. And we are just going to put some of the tape there along the edge of our opening. This is going to hold that opening open, that fabric back, so that when we attach our zipper, the zipper window stays nice and clean and open for us. So I'm just putting it on all around just to help hold those little pieces, and then here you can watch me struggle getting the back of the double-sided tape off. This is probably the worst part for me. I don't know why I struggle with this so much, but yeah, I hope you find it as amusing as I do. As we start to get the backing of the double-sided tape out, what we're going to do is we're just going to fold that fabric out of the way. So again, it stays nice and out of our way, and it opens up our zipper window, and it's nice and pretty, and yeah. Alright, coming up next, you're going to see I got a new fun sewing tool that I couldn't help but use. It's just a little seam roller. It's pretty cool. So now that our zipper window is open and ready to go, let's get ready to attach our zipper tape, or our zipper pocket. Again, I'm going to use some double-sided tape just to put on the ends. Make sure you get it really on as close to the edge of your zipper tape that you can, because you want to make sure that the double-sided tape doesn't come through your zipper window. So go ahead and apply double-sided tape or glue or pins or clips, however you want to do it, to both sides of your zipper tape there. Y'all, I do not know why I struggle with the back of this double-sided tape so much, but oh gosh, the struggle is real with this one. Alright, now that we've got the backing off almost, we're getting there. Come on, you can do it. You got this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We got it off. We are going to center that zipper tape in the zipper window, making sure your zipper pull is out of the way. If you haven't attached that, do that, please, before you attach your zipper pocket. But yeah, just center it really nice in that window there. Make sure it's not wonky, it's not wavy. Give it a couple of pulls just to make sure you like where it's at. And then what we are going to do is we are going to open up our pocket bag, and then we are going to just sew around the zipper window opening using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Just one note about this before you start sewing around your zipper window. Make sure you leave long tails before you start and after you end your stitches, because we are going to go ahead and we're going to bring those to the back of our bag to give it a nice finish. So make sure you have long tails. I don't know if I said zipper tail. Long thread tails before you start and finish sewing. Okay, so we sewed around the zipper window opening with our pocket bag pieces up, so we didn't catch those when we sewed, but you need to make sure you start and stop at the same spot, because what we're going to do now is, here I'm going to show you, we're going to pull these long threads to the back of our bag, our interior, and then we are going to knot them. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your bobbin thread and you're just going to tug on it a little bit, and you'll see a little loop come through, and you're going to pull that. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring your top thread to the back of your bag. I'm going to try and do this again with my starting stitch, but I didn't leave a tail for that, so it's impossible. I tried. Look, I got a little baby up and it was like, nope. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take those threads once you get them all out, and you are going to just give them a couple of knots. I'm persistent. I'm like, this thing is coming to the front. No, it's not. Just give up. I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead and knot those threads a couple of times. That's going to make sure they're nice and secure and not going anywhere. Okay, now that we've got that done, for this next part, I'm gonna get real vulnerable with y'all. Apparently, me and sewing straight lines do not get along. I don't know why. I truly do not know why I cannot sew a straight line to save my life. But so next we're gonna take our pocket linings there, and we are going to try our best to line them up and get them nice and straight so we can cut off the excess. Oh gosh, I struggled with this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Me and straight lines, we don't get along very well. Now that you've got it trimmed up though, we are going to move on. Ooh, look at that nice crooked pocket bag. Okay, I will move on, I promise. All right, we are going to measure 1 inch up from the raw edge, our bottom edge there of our pocket line, and we're just going to make a little mark there. I'm going to use some chalk and just make a nice 1 inch mark up, and then we're going to use my favorite double-sided tape again. Hopefully I don't struggle so much getting the backing off this. I am going to separate the pockets to do this part because I did try it with the pockets together and the double-sided tape got on the other pocket and it was a disaster. So I do recommend separating them. And then, yeah, just make sure it's 1 inch. You're going to add the double-sided tape to the bottom of the pocket, so where the raw edge is, not where your line was, because what we're going to do now is eventually I'm going to be able to get this tape backing off, and then we are going to fold it up, the raw edge up to that 1 inch. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a pocket bag so that this will stay open and we're going to birth our bag through this pocket. So this will make it so that we've got some nice folded edges, some nice finished edges for our pocket when we go to close it up after the bag is finished. All right, so same thing we did on the other side, we're going to do this to this one. Separate your pocket bag so you don't accidentally get tape on or glue or whatever you're going to use on the other one. Measure up 1 inch from that raw edge, make a nice mark there, add some double-sided tape, glue, whatever you want to do, you know, whatever works for you. I don't recommend pins, they are awful, but if you like pins, definitely use them. They just always stab me. Okay, I'm sorry, I am going on some crazy rants today. Get your tape off, or the back side of your tape off, fold it up to that 1 inch mark, and you are good to go. So now we've got those raw edges are folded up so that when we go to close this bag later, or this pocket bag later, it'll be nice and we'll have some clean edges and not have to worry about fraying or anything like that. Okay, now that the raw edges of our pocket bag are all folded over, what we're going to do is we're going to line up the sides of this pocket bag. Again, you want to make sure the bottom's lined up too, but we're not so worried about the bottom because we want to make sure that that stays open because we're going to birth our bag through it. So pin or clip along the sides of your pocket, making sure those raw edges are lined up. And then what we're going to do is we are going to sew using 3/8 inch seam allowance along the sides, not the bottom, just the sides. And then one thing you can do is when you get to the bottom, you can kind of angle in a little bit if you want to give your pocket a little bit extra reinforcement, but make sure that bottom stays open. Okay, so we sewed down the sides of our pocket bag and left the bottom open, so you can see if you open up the zipper there, you've got a nice open bottom. I do recommend just leaving that zipper open, just because then later you don't have to try and remember to open it. But now that that's done, let's move on to prepping our next piece. So next we are going to prep our lining with the slip pocket. So you are going to need your slip pocket front C2 piece, your front slip pocket lining D piece, and your back slip pocket lining F piece. Again, I'm using my exterior fabric as part of my lining, so if that's confusing, I apologize. But the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your C2 piece and lay it right sides up, and then take your front slip pocket lining D piece and put it right sides together with your C2 piece, and line up that top raw edge. Go ahead and pin or clip it, and then we are going to sew along that top edge using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, now that we've got those two pieces attached, what we are going to do is we are going to take the D slip pocket lining piece and bring it to the back of the C piece, and we're going to go ahead and press it. See, I told you I got a new tool and I am so wanting to use it. So we're going to press that to make it nice and flat. And then now what we're going to do is we are going to just top stitch 1/8 inch seam allowance from that fold there. Okay, now that that's top stitched and looking nice, we are going to grab our back slip pocket lining piece, so our F piece, and we are going to lay it right sides up. And then grab your pocket piece that we just prepped, and we're going to open it up so that the C2 piece is towards the top and our D piece is right sides together now with that F piece. And we're going to line up the angles on the sides there. And then go ahead and pin or clip all the way around those two pieces, making sure the C2 piece, so the other pocket piece, the square piece, is up and out of the way. We're going to, just go ahead and pin or clip all the way around there. And then we are going to sew around, starting from the angle. We're going to sew 3/8 inches all the way around from the angle, down, across the bottom, back up, and back over to the angle, 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that we've sewn those pieces shut, creating our slip pocket bag, we are going to bring that C2 piece down and lay it so that it's nice and straight, and then we're just going to baste those sides right there using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. So yeah, just a little base stitch to help hold, to keep that C piece from moving and wiggling, so just a little stitch on right where it meets the F piece there. Alright, so this slip pocket is all set and ready to go, all prepped. Look at how big that is. It's so nice. I love it. Alright, now that we've got the slip pocket and the interior zip pocket, we are ready to set our interior pieces aside and get working on our exterior pieces. I made a little mistake on this. I, for some reason, thought that my magnetic clips, my magnetic closings went on my exterior piece, which was incorrect. So don't do that. I do fix it, so don't worry. But if you are doing a flap like I am, make sure you have an exterior piece and an interior flap piece. I used an accent for my exterior, you don't have to. You are going to need your 2B pieces, your upper panel piece. You're going to need your exposed slip pocket lining E, your front slip pocket lining D, and your front slip pocket lining C2, and then your 2 magnetic snaps. So what you need to do then is put the magnetic markings on the interior piece, your lining piece of your flap, and then you're just going to take your magnetic, the back side of your magnetic snaps there, and lay the circle in the middle opening on your magnetic snap placement dot, and just draw lines there where the line openings are. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take a seam ripper. I have this little scalpel type looking one, and we're just going to make little cuts right where those lines were. And what this allows us to do now is we can turn our flap piece over and attach our magnetic pieces to the outside of this. I put my male pieces on my flap and my female pieces on the bag, just because that's what I prefer. So you're just going to take those prongs of your magnetic snap and you're going to put them through the slits that we just made, and take the backing, put it over the prongs, and then you're just going to fold the prongs out. You can fold them in, doesn't really matter. And then another little tip that I didn't do here, but you can put some interfacing over your magnetic snap there, or even some duct tape, and that's just going to prevent those snaps from having any wear or tear on your bag and causing any holes or anything like that. So you're gonna attach the other magnetic snap, and then we are ready to move on to our next step. Okay, one other little tip here for the snaps. If you are using a woven that tends to fray, you might want to just use some fray check. But again, I put my male pieces on my flap. You don't have to, but what we're going to do now is take our interior flap with our magnetic snaps, and we're going to lay it right sides up, and then take our exterior flap and lay it right sides together. So the wrong sides are on the outside now, and we're just going to pin or clip all the way around. And then we are going to sew around the sides and the bottom. We're going to leave that straight top opening open. So go ahead and sew around the sides and the bottom using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now that is all attached, we're going to use some pinking shears to take out the bulk of that seam. So use your pinking shears to trim around your seam allowance down to just 1/4 inch. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take the flap and we are going to fold it, turn it right sides out. And if you are using material that is, you're going to want to press that just to make sure it stays nice and flat. But once it's all right sides out, we are going to top stitch around using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so our flap is all prepped and ready to go. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take our exterior back slip pocket lining E, and we're going to lay it right sides up, and then we're going to fold our pocket or our flap in half there and find our halfway point, and then do the same thing to our E piece, because we're going to line up the middle of both of those pieces. We're going to put them together so that we make sure that our flap is nice and centered on our bag. I just folded them and kind of used the crease. You can use whatever method you want, but make sure that it's nice and even on both sides before you move on. Pin or clip along those raw edge, and then we're gonna baste them together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I totally messed up here and thought that my camera was recording when it wasn't, so we are just going to ignore the straps at this point and just pretend that that is a flap and not straps. You are going to make sure that you have your flap piece right sides up. You're going to take your B upper panel piece and you're going to lay it right sides together along that shorter edge, so the edges should line right up, and you're going to just pin or clip along the raw edge there, and make sure it lines up really well. Pin or clip, and then we're just going to baste that together, we're going to sew that together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that we've got that piece attached, what we're going to do is we are going to fold it up, making sure the seam allowance is up towards that B piece. And then we are just going to, if you can, press it. If not, because I'm using vinyl, I'm using my handy dandy tool there, my seam roller. Press it up out of the way, making sure that seam allowance is up towards the top, and then we are going to top stitch with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, now that we've got this upper portion of our exterior flat piece done, we're going to set that aside, and we are going to go ahead and prep the pocket part of it. So take your C2 piece, and if you haven't yet, put your magnetic markings on there, or your magnetic snap marks on there. Don't install your snaps yet, but have them ready on there. So lay your C2 piece right side up, and take your front slip pocket lining D piece, and we're going to lay it right sides together and align that top edge there and pin or clip, and then we are going to sew them together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that our front and lining are attached, we're going to take that lining and we are going to fold it to the back of our front piece, and then we're just going to press that to make sure that that stays nice and flat and straight for us. And now that that's pressed and looking nice, we're just going to top stitch using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now it is time to attach the lining and the pocket piece together. So take your flat piece and lay it wrong sides up, so right sides down. And then you're going to take your slip pocket piece and you're going to fold your E piece kind of up out of the way so you can slip that pocket between the flap and your lining piece there. And you're going to line up the angles and the raw edges of those two pieces. They should fit perfectly together. They should line up really well. So line that up and pin or clip the sides together. And then you're going to turn it around to make sure that it's the same, it's even on both sides. You want to make sure that you've got the same amount on both sides. Otherwise it's going to be a little lopsided and look a little strange. So once you're good on that, it's really important that you just kind of check it, fix it, get it just right. And then what we are going to do is we are going to start to attach our magnetic snaps to the pocket piece there. Alright, now that we have everything lined just right, we are going to fold those pocket pieces up and out of the way. And I have a lot of markings here, just ignore all those. And I'm actually not even going to use the markings from the pattern piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feel where the male pieces of my magnetic snaps are on my flap, and I'm going to make a mark where those are, because that is now where I'm going to put my female pieces. That way they line up perfectly and everything will just be just right. So once you have that done, you know where that's going to be at. You're going to separate your pieces and fold your lining out of the way and install your magnetic snap the same way we installed the other pieces, except for now instead of your males it's the females, but it's the exact same way of doing it. So now that our magnetic snaps are fully installed, what we're going to do is just slip that pocket piece back under the lining. And what's nice is those magnets should get it to the perfect alignment that we just spent the last step doing. And just check to make sure everything looks good, and then we can move on. Alright, so working from the wrong side now of our flat piece, we are going to make sure again that the lining pieces E and D are lined up, and then we're just going to pin or clip all the way around those on the sides there. And then we will sew them together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance, going from the angle down to the side, over the bottom, back up, back over the angle, making sure that the exterior piece is out of the way. But we're just going to sew around to attach those pocket bags together. All right, now that our pocket bag is all sewn closed, nice big pocket there, what we're going to do is we are just going to baste along the top sides there, just a little basting stitch to keep those two pieces where the pocket and the lining meet up. Alright, now we have 3 of our panel pieces done. We're going to go ahead and set this flat piece aside with our interior panel pieces, and we are going to prep our exterior zipper, our back zipper. We are prepping this the same way we prepped the other zipper pocket window, so I'm going to speed through this because I don't think you need as big of an explanation, but again, fold it in half, and then this one we are actually going to measure 1 3/4 inches down instead of 4 inches, but we're still going to draw a 6-inch line, 3 inches on either side of the center point there, 1/2 inch on either side, connect the bottom to make a nice long rectangle, and then this one I did just find the halfway point, and then we're going to measure 1/2 inch in from either end, draw another line, and then we're going to draw our V's from the point of our box into the center of our line there, and make some nice V's, and then we are going to clip into that so that we can open it up, making sure that when we clip our V's we don't go past our box, the ends of our box there. And then yeah, we're all set to then add our double-sided tape after we get this clipped and open and ready to go. We have our double-sided tape added there to all the little sides. I am actually going to skip through me struggling to take off the backs because you don't need to watch that again. But you're going to take the backings off and then just kind of fold the fabric back so that you've got a nice open zipper window there. You can press seam roll or press those sides down so they don't try and move on you. But now that we've got our zipper window nice and open, we are going to add double-sided tape to our zipper tape, and then we will center that in our zipper window as well, making sure that if you haven't added your zipper pull that you do that before you center it in your zipper window there. Now that our zipper tape is centered in our zipper window and ready to go, we're going to open up the pocket bag so that it's one's laying down towards the bottom of the bag and one's up towards the top, and then we're going to sew around the rectangle using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, top stitch. Make sure you leave nice long threads at the beginning and end, and try and end your stitch right where you began it. Don't back stitch or anything like that. Okay, and then after we are done sewing around our rectangle, we're going to go ahead and pull those threads to the back, which I didn't show again because I don't know, but I did show you again how awful I am at sewing a straight line. So again, we are going to trim up any excess of our pocket there. We're going to lay the pocket pieces together and just trim up the excess. Then we're not folding the ends of this one up like we did our other pocket bag, because we are going to fully close this pocket bag. So instead of folding the ends up, what we're going to do is we're just going to pin or clip all the way around this pocket bag, and then we are going to sew it closed using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. apologize, I did not film the sewing of this pocket bag close, so we are just going to jump forward to it magically being done. Our pocket bag is entirely closed. We did sew along the bottom of this one. What we're going to do now though is we are going to take this panel piece and we are going to fold it in half. We're going to use this halfway mark to tell us where to put our handle and our straps. So make sure you have a mark there using some heat erase pen, and then we're going to measure a 1/2 inch over on both sides of this mark, and this is going to tell us where to put the ends of our handle. So measure 1/2 inch from the center mark on both sides, and then you're going to take your 9-inch piece of webbing for your handle, and you are going to lay one end of it, making sure, so you don't want it to be twisted, so make sure it creates a U that's not twisted or anything like that, and you're going to put one side of your handle along that 1/2 inch mark that we made, making sure to have your handle comes up from the edge, the raw edge, a 1/2 inch. It's going to overlap, come up by 1/2 inch, and then the other side of your handle again on the other 1/2 inch mark, and then just kind of make sure that it looks right. You don't want it to be a wonky handle or anything like that. And then you're going to take your backpack strap and you are going to lay it right next to the handle strap, so there should be no spaces or anything, and again that's going to overlap by 1/2 inch. And then go ahead and take your other backpack strap and do the same thing on the other side. I'm just pinning them right now, or clipping them. You can pin them if you feel more, if you want something more secure, but all we're doing right now is just laying them where we need them. And then what we're going to do is, once we make sure everything looks right and nothing's wonky or funky, we are going to base them using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, handle and straps are basted on, looking good. Now what this does is it makes sure it's not going to move on us later when we try and sew it all together. So now we're going to take our B piece, our exterior flap, and we are going to lay the shorter long edge along the raw edge of the bag there. They should line up perfectly. They should be the exact same size. Pin or clip them, and then we will sew them together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance along that raw edge. If you want a little bit of extra security on your straps, just backstitch over those a couple of times just to give them a little bit of extra hold. Alright, now that we've got those sewn together, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut the corners at an angle to reduce some of the bulk there. And then we're going to flip the B piece up, the exterior flap piece up, making sure that our seam allowance is down towards the bottom of the bag this time, because that's going to help our handles and our straps lay up instead of fall down. Go ahead and seam roll or press this if you can. Again, making sure your seam allowance is down towards the bottom of your bag. And then once it's all pressed and nice and ready to go, we are going to top stitch along the fold there using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now to give my handles a little extra oomph, I am going to add some rivets to them. Again, that's just going to make sure that they don't, pull on the stitching too much. It just gives them a little bit of extra security. I just totally winged this, but if you want to be a little bit more precise about it, you can measure it out. But we're just going to put one rivet in the backpack strap, one rivet in the handle, and then the same on the other side, a rivet in the backpack strap and a rivet in the handle. You want to make sure when you install these rivets that you're not cutting through that top stitching you just did, because then your stitches are going to come out, which nobody wants that. So make sure you're paying attention to where your top stitching is. But yeah, if you're looking for a really awesome tool to install rivets, I definitely recommend this thing. This massive beast of a tool that I got. It is amazing and cuts right through with ease. But yeah, so if you want to give your handles a little extra oomph, make sure you add your rivets in there, and then we will move on. So I'm not gonna lie, this next part was a little confusing for me at first, and I totally did it wrong the first time I did it. So I hope that you can learn from me and I can teach you to avoid what I did. But you are going to take your backpack strap tabs, and we are going to measure a 1/2 inch on the left side of our tab, a 1/2 inch down from the raw edge there, and then we're going to measure 1 inch down on the right side of the tab. So you'll have 2 marks on one tab, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. And then what we're going to do is we are going to measure up from the bottom of our bag 2.5 inches. And again, we're just going to make little marks there with a heat erase pen. So 2.5 inches up from the bottom of our bag, and then we've got one of our tabs, the left side, we measured 1/2 inch on one and 1 inch on the other side. And what we're going to do now is we are going to angle these so that the tabs are facing, the D-rings are facing up towards your handle, and you are going to line the 1/2 inch mark up with the side of the bag at the 2.5 inch mark up. And then you're going to angle it so that that 1 inch mark is lined up with the side of the fabric. So it's going to be angled. You're going to have the corner of your tab is going to stick out away from your bag. But so your D-ring is going to angle up towards your handle, and then it's just going to be angled like that. And then what you're going to do with your other tab piece is you're going to measure a 1/2 inch up from the raw edge on the right side and 1 inch up on the left side. And then so it's going to be the opposite of this other tab piece. And again, it's going to angle up towards the handle. So you're going to take that 1/2 inch mark and line it up with your 2.5 inch mark. And then you're going to line the 1 inch mark up with the side of your fabric. I know it sounds kind of confusing, but hopefully the visual really helps you understand that. And then we're just going to base those using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. So to be completely honest with you, this whole bag for me started to go downhill here. I made a really big mistake. So I added rivets to these side tabs without considering the seam allowance that I'm going to need later. So I recommend, if you add rivets, to make sure you put them 3/8 inches in from your raw edge. Other words, you are going to have a lot of trouble later. Alright, now that that is all set, we are going to actually take our straps and put them inside of our zipper pocket there. That's going to help keep them out of the way while we sew this bag up. It's kind of a really nice thing to do. Now that the straps are out of the way and that panel is prepped, it's time to set it aside, and we are going to start working on our side panels. So you're going to grab your H pocket pieces, and you are going to lay one right side up and put another one on top, right sides together, and the same with both sides. And then we're just going to pin or clip along the top and sew using a 3/8 inch seam allowance along the top there. now that our pocket pieces are sewn together along the top, we're going to clip the corners at an angle so that we reduce some of the bulk there. And then we are just going to flip them so that they are wrong sides together. And then we're going to press them and top stitch using an 1/8 inch seam allowance right along the fold there so that they stay nice and folded up. Okay, pocket exterior and lining attached and top stitched. Now what we're going to do is pin or clip around the outside the raw edges that are left, and we're going to baste them together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. We're going to baste the side and then baste the bottom and then baste the other side. So we're not going to connect them, but we are going to baste them together. Again, just 1/8 inch seam allowance down one side, and then you're going to cut your thread, do the bottom, cut your thread, and go back up the other side and cut your thread. So 1/8 inch seam allowance, baste those sides and bottom together. Alright, so now that that is all basted together, what we're going to do is we're going to fold our pocket in half, and we're going to mark the bottom halfway point. And what that's going to do then is from that halfway point, we are going to measure 1 inch on either side of that and make another mark. And then from that 1 inch mark, we're going to measure a 1/2 inch. So you should have 3 marks on your fabric right now. The center point, 1 inch to either side of it, and then a 1/2 inch further from that inch mark. And then go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So from the center point, measure over 1 inch, and then from that 1 inch mark, measure over 1/2 inch. Make sure you can see those marks because you're going to want to use them later, or you're really going to need them. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side, the other pocket piece. We're going to mark the center point, measure 1 inch to the left or right, and then measure 1/2 inch from that 1 inch mark, and then do it on the opposite side. So again, measure 1 inch from the center point, make a nice little mark using a heat erasing pen, and then a 1/2 inch from that. You're going to want to do this on the front side of the pocket too. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. I don't know if it really matters, but now what we're going to do is we're going to take and pinch our fabric at that 1 inch mark, and we're going to fold it over to the 1/2 mark. So you're going to pinch from the center to the 1 inch mark. You're going to pinch those together and fold it, bring it over to the 1/2 inch mark. So you're going to get this nice little crease here in the middle of your pocket, and that is going to give your pocket some depth to it without it being too like floppy. So go ahead and do the same thing. You're going to take the center point and the 1 inch mark, and you're going to pinch them together, and then you're going to bring the flap of that pinch over to your 1/2 inch mark. And now that we've got our folds put in, what we're going to do is we're just going to baste along those using an 1/8 inch seam allowance because we don't want them to separate later when we go to attach them to our sides. Right, pockets are prepped, and now it's time to add them to our side exterior panel piece. So you're going to take your G exterior piece and your H pocket piece that we prepped, and you're going to line those bottom parts up. Now that we've got the fold in there, it should line up perfectly. Pin or clip that, and then go ahead and line up the raw edges of the side and pin and clip that. So you want to make sure the raw edges are really nice and lined up. The notch in the bottom should be lined up, and then go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Line up those raw edges, making sure it's lined up perfectly with that notch there. Pin or clip it, and then do the same thing to our other exterior panel side there. What you'll see is it gives the pocket, like I said before, it gives it some nice depth without it being floppy. I really like this pocket style. I've never done it before, and it turned out really great. It's a great method for, if you need to put like a water bottle or something circular in there, and it's just not floppy. I really like how this is done. So again, make sure you line up the raw edges on the bottom and raw edges on the side, pin or clip that. And then we are going to baste those together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, exterior side panels are prepped and ready to go, and now all of our prep work is done and we are ready to finally start putting this bag together. I'm so excited. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our flap piece. I just love that flap so much. And we are going to lay it right sides up, and we're going to take our 14.5 inch zipper tape and we're going to lay it right sides together with that flap piece. So the zipper tape will be towards the right side of your fabric. Line up the raw edge, and then we are going to baste that in place using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. You want to make sure that it's nice and centered on there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just kind of want it to be aligned so that it has pretty close to the same overhang on each side. But baste it, 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, now that our zipper tape is basted on, we are going to leave that so that the zipper teeth are towards the right side of our fabric. And then leaving the exterior panel right side up, the zipper tape wrong side up, we're going to take our interior panel piece that has our zipper pocket, and we're going to lay that right sides together with our exterior panel piece. Line up those raw edges, making sure again that the ends match up. So don't worry about the overhang of the zipper, just make sure the ends match up. And then again, ignoring the overhang of the zipper, we're going to measure from the raw edge of the fabric, we're going to measure 1/2 inch over, and we're going to make a nice mark there. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And what we're going to do then is when we sew this together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance, we are going to make sure to start at the 1/2 inch line and go to stop at the other 1/2 inch line. We're not going to go past those lines. You're going to start at the one and end at the other. That's super important. Okay, now that that is attached, we are going to take that lining piece and we're going to turn it to the back. So fold it to the back, so now that the wrong sides of our exterior and lining are matched up, and we're just going to press that so that it's nice and flat. And then once it's pressed, we are going to again measure a 1/2 inch on either side from that raw edge, not the zipper tape, but the raw edge of our fabric. Measure a 1/2 inch on either side, and then we are going to top stitch along the fold there, 1/8 inch from the zipper tape, making sure that, again, just like when we attach them, we start our top stitch at the halfway line and then we end it at the halfway line. This is super important for when we go to attach the lining and the exterior together. It seems kind of strange the way it goes together, but it works really, really well, and it's nice because you don't have to bind it later. But yeah, it's just kind of a different way to do it, and I really liked it. So you're just going to want to make sure, again, top stitch, start at that 1/2 inch mark, end at the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so now it is time to attach our exterior piece with our straps. We are going to lay that right sides together with our zipper. So the zipper teeth are now, again, to the right side of that exterior piece, and then the 2 exterior pieces are right sides together, but they're not, you're going from the zipper and not the zipper end, and not the end of the other exterior piece. And then we're just gonna, again, sew all the way across. Don't worry about those 1/2 inch lines I had on there. We're gonna sew all the way across, baste them together, 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, now that that is basted together, we're gonna flip it around. So now our exterior, our interior panel is facing up. And we are gonna take our other interior panel and put it right sides together with that exterior panel, lining up the raw edge of the zipper and the raw edge, the top raw edge of the interior panel there. And then again, like we did with the other interior, we're gonna measure a 1/2 inch over from the raw edge, not the zipper, but the raw edge on both sides. And then we are going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We are going to start at that 1/2 inch mark and go to the other 1/2 inch mark and stop at that 1/2 inch mark on the other side. Now that we have all of our panels attached to our zipper, we're going to separate the exterior and interior up. So now we've got one side with an exterior and interior, and the other side of the zipper with an exterior and interior, and we're just going to press that. And then once it's nice and pressed, again, from that raw edge, we're going to measure a 1/2 inch over on both sides, and then we're going to top stitch this exterior and interior side that we haven't top stitched yet. We're going to top stitch those starting at the 1/2 inch line on the one side and ending at the 1/2 inch line on the other side. Okay, now it is time to add our zipper pulls before we attach our side panels. So you are going to add 2 zipper pulls to this zipper tape here. You want each one to go in opposite directions. That way, when they're closed, they meet in the middle, but they open either way. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to take the lining side and we are going to fold it up out of the way. So that's why we didn't sew it all the way when we sewed or top stitched, because we're going to keep that lining out of the way while we attach the exterior sides. So just fold and pin or clip them up out of the way. Okay, now that our lining is out of the way, we're going to flip our bag so that the exterior is right sides up, and we're going to take our exterior side panel piece that has our pockets, and we're going to line that up with the exterior side, the top flap raw edge there. The zipper will overhang, that's totally fine. Make sure though that your lining pieces are out of the way from your seam allowance. It's a 3/8 inch seam allowance. You want to make sure the lining is out of the way. You don't want to catch that when you sew these side panels on. And then we're going to flip it over, or turn it to the other side, not turn it to the side. And we're going to add the other side panel piece. So we're still on the exterior side up, but same thing, we're going to sew along those using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so exterior side panels are attached. Make sure that you didn't get your lining. You want to really make sure you didn't catch that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of fold them out, and then you're going to make sure the seam allowance is down towards the panel piece, the side panel, and you're just going to seam roll, or if your fabric allows it, you're going to press that to make it nice and flat. It's going to help with the next step. Because now that they are nice and flat, we are going to go ahead and clip the corners at an angle to reduce some of the bulk. Then we are going to top stitch an 1/8 inch away from the seam allowance there, just to keep those nice and flat. Just make sure while you're top stitching this that again your lining is out of the way. You don't want to catch that in your top stitching. Okay, so our exterior side panel pieces are attached. Now we are going to flip our bag so that the lining side is right sides up, and then we are going to attach our lining side panel pieces. So go ahead and take your lining side panel piece, the short end, and we are going to line it up with the lining pieces there. Make sure when you are lining this up that you do not get the zipper. The zipper is not going to be in it. There's going to be a slight gap between the two lining pieces, and that's okay. That's exactly what we want. So we're going to line up the raw edges, pin or clip, again making sure that we're not getting the zipper, and then we also want to make sure that when we sew this we don't get the exterior side of the bag either. So we're going to sew along this lining side panel piece and the lining sides using an 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that those are attached, you can see the gap there. The zipper is not attached to the lining. We are going to just kind of bring the lining over to the side, and we're going to press that so it stays nice and flat. And then what we're going to do is we are going to top stitch it 1/8 inch away. So again, make sure the zipper and the exterior are out of the way, and then we are just going to top stitch the two lining sides 1/8 inch away. Okay, side panels attached and top stitched. Now it is time to go through and make sure everything's working right, everything fits right. We're going to trim up the zipper tape on the pocket panels only. Do not trim the zipper tape on your main opening there, just these pocket pieces. Go ahead and trim those up and then singe the ends so they don't unravel or anything like that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to put the lining pieces of our bag right sides together and our exterior pieces right sides together. So we're going to fold those so they're right sides together, and then we're going to line up the raw edges of the bottom and pin or clip along those raw edges. And then we're going to sew along the bottom of the exterior and the lining using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so the bottom of our exterior and interior are sewn up now. Now we are going to attach the lining side panel to our lining. So we're gonna take that, and the way that this happens is you kind of fold at a 90-degree angle where the bottom of the arm meets the side of the main lining. It's gonna create a perfect 45-degree angle, and everything's gonna line up really, really nicely. It just kind of falls together. So line up those raw edges on the side, and then you'll see there's this little indentation here, this little box. We're going to take some little snips and we're going to clip right up to the point of the box, basically. So don't cut past the box, don't cut through it or anything. We're just going to cut right up to it, and this is going to help us line the bottom of this up a lot easier. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this to the other side as well, so that this side piece is now attached to both sides of our lining piece. And then we're going to go ahead and do that again to the other side lining piece. Okay, once all the raw edges of our sides and our liner are matched up, we are going to go ahead and sew them together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, as we are attaching these side panels, make sure you do not sew past those indentations. We're going to need those open for when we attach the bottom. Alright, so now our lining is completely attached on the sides and everything. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to our exterior sides. We're going to just pinch them so they fold right at that angle. It's perfect. Line up those raw edges all the way down. When you get to the little indentation, we're going to snip right up to the side of it, and do that to all 4 sides of our exterior and our exterior side panel pieces. And then again, we're going to sew along all those raw edges using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, and then make sure while you're sewing this that you do not sew past those indentations. All right, I'm super excited. Our bag is starting to really come together, so this is really exciting. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're on the side and the bottom where it is not sewn, we are going to actually fold that together. So you're kind of, where the indentations are, you're gonna kind of open that up so that the bottom of that, the raw edges come together. So you're gonna open it up, the raw edges are gonna come right together, they're gonna fit together perfectly. We're going to pin or clip along that bottom there, the raw edges, and we're just going to do that on all the bottom, the exterior and the lining. We're just going to fold them out, pull them out so that the raw edges come right together. It comes together so perfectly. It's actually quite beautiful. And then pin or clip, and then we are going to sew along all of those raw edges using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. our bag is fully attached and it's ready to go. We just need to do some finishing touches. So we're going to trim the corners of the bottom there at an angle. That's going to just kind of help reduce some of the bulk there so it's not too thick at the bottom. And then what we're going to do is, using the opening of our interior pocket, zipper pocket, we are going to turn the bag right side out through this pocket. Depending on what kind of fabrics you used, it can be a little tricky. Again, I interfaced everything, so it's a little bit sturdier and bigger than normal. And then I used some vinyl too. But it's not too bad pulling it through. It's kind of great. It's a good size for it. It's just, you kind of want to be a little careful so you don't pull those seams on your pocket. But you're just going to pull that bag so that everything now is right sides out. Alright, now that everything is right sides out, we really want to go through and push out all the corners and everything, make sure they're all nice and flat and nothing's rounded or folded over. Everything's turned out, pushed in, looking great. Now it is time to work on our straps. Okay, so you're going to take your strap guide and you are going to lay it so that the two sets that are closer together are towards the bottom of your strap. And then you're just going to poke some holes there for your rivets on all 6 of those spaces. I think by the time I got to this strap, I was just like ready to be done with this bag. I was like, I want to see this done. I was so excited that it just, for some reason, I could not like wrap my head around how to do this exactly right. So, but we got there and that's all that matters. So you're going to poke your holes in there for your rivets. Okay, and then what we're going to do is make sure that our strap isn't twisted or doing anything wonky. And we are going to take our strap slider and we're going to feed the end of our strap up through one side of our strap slider, down around the middle, and down out the other side of our strap slider. And then we're going to make sure to give it plenty of room, and again make sure nothing's twisted. And from the outside of our bag towards the inside, we're going to feed it through the D-ring on the strap tab. So again, you're going to go from the outside of the bag to the inside, and then you're going to make sure you have a lot of room in your strap there, and you're going to feed the end of your strap back up through the side and back down the middle. Make sure when you do this that those 2 rivet holes that we did that were towards the top of the strap, so not the end of the strap where we had 4, but the 2 that were at the top, make sure those are on one side of your strap slider middle bar, and the other 2 that we did, the 4 that we did closer together, those are going to be on the other side. Because what we're going to do then is we are going to fold the strap end down so that it meets the 2 rivet holes towards the end of the strap, meet the 2 rivet holes right next to it. And then we're going to fold it again so that it kind of encompasses that middle strap, or that middle bar of our strap slider. It's going to fold right over that and line up then with the 2 rivet holes that are on the other side of that. That is not what I did in my video because I just really struggled with wrapping my head around how to do this. Like here you can see I'm pausing because I'm reading the instructions for like the 100th time, and it's nothing wrong with the instructions. The instructions are great. It just, my brain was completely fried at this point. I was ready to be done with this bag, and I just, these straps were killing me. But I finally get it. I finally understand. It just, in this video, my brain was done. So yeah, what's going to happen then is that your rivets will start on one side and then of your strap bar there, your middle strap bar, and will go to the other side of your middle strap bar. I hope this makes sense. If you're still like not getting it, definitely look at the instructions. She does a really good job of showing pictures in there and explaining it a little better. I tried my best. I think it's kind of hard when the video shows one thing, but I'm saying to do something else. But yeah, the way that I did it here too totally worked. It's not folded over the strap bar, which, the center bar of the strap there, which is fine. And then yeah, I took out some fire because why not? Oh gosh. But yeah, so now that you've got one strap connected, we are going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other strap. And then we'll be done with our bag. Our straps are all done. It looks great. Oh, I'm loving this. This is so exciting. I know mine doesn't look quite right according to the instructions. It still works and I'm okay with it. Look at how awesome. It's so cute. Now, the only thing that is left is to close up our zipper pocket bag for our interior that we pulled our bag through. We birthed it through. So we're just going to make sure those folded edges are lined up, and we are going to top stitch right along the folded edges there, 1/8 of an inch away, and we'll be done. Our companion backpack. Oh my gosh, I love it. It is so cute, and it'll be perfect for like days at the park, going to the library, just something where you don't want like a huge heavy backpack, but something that you can fit, a couple water bottles, some snacks, a book or two. It's great. I love it. The flap is cute, everything. I do apologize about my lighting. It took me a very long time to film this video, so by the time I got to the end, it was dark outside. So, sorry, it's kind of a little off here, but it is just, I love this. This is such a cute backpack. Like I said at the beginning, it's a little bit more advanced than anything I've done before, but I've only sewn a handful of bags, so that's no surprise. It's so cute. I am so proud of myself for getting this done. I love it. I hope you love it too. If you do, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.